The Kitab al Bulhan, or Book of Wonders, may be translatable as Surprises, is a 14th and 15th century Arabic manuscript compiled by Hassan Esfahani, ʿAbd al-Hasan Esfahani. Aban al-Hasan ibn Ahmad's Ibn family came from Isfahan in Iran, and he was raised as a native of Baghdad, where he studied Aristotelean sciences, or burhan. It is probably bound during the reign of Jalayirid Sultan Ahmad, 1382 to 1410 in Baghdad. It seems that the Kitab al Bulhan was commissioned by, or the idea of, Shaykh al-Diya Hassan al-Irbili, originally from Irbil near Mosul in northern Iraq, who sold it to Haydar ibn al-Hajji, Abu al-Karim ibn Muhammad in December 1409 to January 1410. The purported author of the series of treatises bound in Kitab al Bulhan is Abu Maʿshar al-Bakhani, whose name is clearly indicated on the second line of the introduction of the book. Abu Maʿshar, 1787 to 1886, was born in Bakhal in modern-day Mazar al-Sharif in northern Afghanistan, but he moved to the Azbayid court in Baghdad at the beginning of the 9th century. Apart from his fame as an astrologer, he is well known for having developed a system of astrological magic, founded mostly on Neoplatonist theories, which became popular in his time and related to Arabic philosophy, dealing with mankind's interaction with the environment. Abu Maʿshar is especially known for his large body of work, entitled al-Maqta al-Kabid. The great introduction to astrology is copied in Kitab al Bulhan and specifically mentions the introduction of Kitab al-Mawid, or Book of the Natives, an astrological treatise by Abu Maʿshar that deals with the horoscope. The original codex is comprised of a series of treatises which came apart, and when sections were reassembled and some lost, it became jumbled and incoherent. The work includes extracts copied from Kitab al-Mawid, Book of Natives, of the astronomer and Neoplatonist Abu Maʿshar al-Bakri. One of the most significant full-page illustrations represents the author, identified by the title in the cartouche of the page as Abu Maʿshar. He sits bare-chested on top of a column, holding an astrolabe in his right hand. He is flanked by attendants looking at him, his finger raised to the mouth, captivated by the experiment the master is attempting. Books and astronomer's clothes complete the painting on the right. The contents include subjects on astronomy, astrology, geomancy, including a section of full-page illustrations with plates dedicated to discourse topics, such as folk tales, a sign of the zodiac, a prophet, etc. An Arabic version can be found in the Bodleian Library in Oxford, but is incomplete and not in order. In the late 16th century, 2 Turkish copies were made from the original for the 2 daughters of the Ottoman Sultan Murad III, Ayas Sultan, circa 1582, and Fatma Sultan. These manuscripts are complete and established the original order of the treatise of the Kitab al Bulhan. These codices are now held in the Pierpont Morgan Library, New York City, and the Bibliothèque Nationale, Paris. The many images of man-made wonders, one of the most famous of this is the lighthouse of Alexandria. The illustration shows schematically the city of Iskandria or Alexandria, and a famous tower with a mirror on top, which was used to reflect the sun and warn ships of the nearby coast. The Hermetic temples of Egypt and the Maghreb. Abu Maʿshar wrote an entire treatise on the Kitab al Bulhan, the Book of Thousands, dedicated to the occult sciences of Hermes Trismegistus. The miniature represents the interior of one of these Hermetic temples, probably the temple of Abu Simba in Akhmim in Panopolis in Upper Egypt. The Mosque of the Umayyads in Damascus, which, according to many Arab authors, was one of the most significant edifices in the world. The building pre-existed the advent of Islam and was reutilised from the Christian Church of St. John in order to be turned into a mosque. It's interesting to notice that the bells depicted atop the minarets, this may be a reference to the original Christian building. The monastery of the Raven, which is reported in many travellers' accounts, was located in Spain or maybe in Portugal. This is from an extraordinary story about a talking raven depicted atop the dome in the illustration. The raven knows the name of every person who enters the monastery and announces it loudly, clearly on their arrival. It contains a lovely section inspired by the 1001 Nights. The Traveller in the City of Copper depicts the story of two travellers, the Emir Musa and Shaykh Abul al-Samad, which included the tales related to the jinn's imprisonment in jars since the time of Solomon. The traveller is one instead of two, but the story must be the same as the City of Copper, has neither gates nor entrances, and anyone who tries to climb its metal walls would fall in and die. Abul al-Samad becomes a hero of the story and manages to get safely into the city, helped by his prayers. Sinbad, simply called the Arab in the title, and the Old Man of the Sea. Sinbad arrives on a deserted island and sees strange creatures, half man and half fish. He takes pity on him because he cannot walk and appears to be starving. He takes the odd creature on his shoulder, not knowing that he would cling tightly to him without letting him go, starting to order him around and hitting him on the head. Sinbad does not know how to get rid of him until he notices vine trees with ripe fruit. The illustration shows the sailor crushing grapes in order to turn them into wine that he will give to the Old Man of the Sea to get him drunk. The creature weakens his grip on Sinbad's shoulders and he falls to the ground, after which the sailor killed him with a stone. Another story narrated by Sinbad in the 1001 Nights takes place in the valley of Sirindib, Sri Lanka. The valley is full of precious stones, diamonds and rubies that are easy to spot from the top of the surrounding mountains because they are scattered everywhere on the ground. The valley, however, is populated by terrible poisonous snakes that make it impossible to collect the stones. The local people thought up a great plot to take a few sheep, kill them and cut them up. The chunks of raw meat are being thrown down the valley to the stones that lie on the ground, become caught in the meat. Predatory birds are attracted to meat. They carry the chunks to the mountain in order to attend the meal. The merchants share them away and so that they can get the stones. This improbable tale was cleverly illustrated in Kitab al Bulhan in a miniature including all elements of the story, except for the local people and Sinbad. A valley is depicted by rocky formations at its sides, animated snakes, birds flying around with meat in their beaks and colourful pebbles on the ground. Al-Waqwaq, also written as Al-Waqwaq, Waq-al-Waq, Waqwaq or Waqwaq, is the name of an island or archipelago in medieval legend from the Middle East, namely the story of 1001 Nights. In fact, in the Sea of China, there's also a famous island of Waqwaq, was reported by most medieval geographers. The island is ruled by a queen and the population is only female. It is usually illustrated in al-Qazvini manuscripts of the wonders of creation, showing the Karim surrounded by female attendants. The tree of Wok Wok is rather extraordinary because it illustrates the way in which the all-female population reproduces and self-perpetuates. Female figures grow from the tree as if they mature like fruit until they are ready, and then they drop to the ground, emanating a cry that sounds like Wok Wok. Iblis, the devil known as father of bitterness. Iblis was, according to many Muslims, raised by angels, but was cast out when he refused to honour Adam. He only eats non-halal food, and is associated with baths, with the market and with junctures at the road. He lives in a huge palace, huge palace floating in the sea with 1,000 guards. Al-Malik al-Amar, the Red King, is the Jinn of Tuesday, and is here the talismanic symbols are evident in both the monotonous repetition of individual letters, in this case the letter Tha, and numbers in the so-called spectacle symbols, originally derived from the Kabbalah or other mystical magical traditions. The Red King of Tuesday has a close relationship with Mars, the planet of war, and is subsequently depicted as a monstrous being, riding a lion while holding a sword and a severed head. He is thus associated with Angel Jibril and al-Quran. The Jinn of Thursday is a king named Samhurash, the title specifying that he is a Nasrani Christian who is known for in some sources as Abu al-Wahid, or father or child. This is probably the reason why he is represented with a naked child in his hands, held upside down, although it's unclear whether Samhurash's influence over him is positive or negative. The talismanic symbols are complex and include a hexagon, the seal of Solomon, Khatam Sulaiman, which is formed by two triangles, one upright and the other upside down, symbolising the universe, the upper and lower spheres. He is associated with the angel Shafralael and the Torah. The Jinn of Friday is the four-headed king Zabawa, sitting frontally in a royal position of power. The combination of monstrous horn heads and harmless facing equines is quite extraordinary. He is thus associated with the angel Anil and with the Torah. King of the week is the Jinn of Saturday, Maimun, which also means the monkey in Arabic, and he is described in the title and represents the illustration of Maimun and the clouds. He is therefore one of the flying jinns who visits humans. He also has a child in his hands, like Samharush. He is associated with the angel Kasfiel and the Torah. The female jinn, Tabias, origins come from the Kabbalah and the figure of Lilith, the demonic goddess who purportedly destined by God to control and weaken human babies. She can also be related to the Queen of the Riches in Christian demonology, and so the image acquires an extraordinary significance to Hebrew, Christian and Islamic traditions. The jinn Yuma, the fever, has three heads, sits in a frontal position and embraces the surrounding space with his arms, ready to snatch somebody's body and make him feverish. Interesting double page shows an illustrated chart that links the 7 planets to different activities and professions. For example, Saturn, the dark planet, is related to jobs that have to do with dirtying one's hands, such as blacksmith or leather tanner. The planet Sun looks over rulers and money makers, having to do with power and gold. In an illustration that deals with the 7 climates of the Earth, each climate is linked to a planet. Once again, for example, Saturn is responsible for those regions of the world where dark-skinned people are found. 4 more miniatures are related to the seasons and are amongst the best illustrations in Kitab al Bulhan. There then follows a description of each zodiac sign. Well, wasn't that a beautiful, beautiful book? Wonderful illustrations. I do hope you enjoyed it as much as I did, and I know some people will be offended at me talking about and depicting jinns, but, you know, it's up to you, isn't it? To each his own.